Today marks 1258 days sharing lessons I learned and continue to learn with all of you. My hope that these insights will inspire you, support your teams, help you achieve your goals, and really empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about tolerance. And I think that is a beautiful thing when you grow, you're potentially able to outgrow your tolerance. So what I mean by that is I really love this sentence is that you outgrew the version of you that tolerated too much. Tolerance is a great word. But I think that we're able to become too tolerant towards other people, behavior towards us, to other people, and that means that we do not stand up when we're supposed to stand up. Today we'll focus on really what do we need to know about that? What do we need to know about that shift? Now we used to tolerate things, but we do not tolerate anymore, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing that we stop tolerating bad behavior in our life and we're able to stand up saying this is not good, this is not healthy, this is not beneficial, needed for you, neither for me, neither for anyone around us. So what do we need to understand? The first part is that when we start to feel that maybe I'm not tolerating as much as I used to, the first thing we need to acknowledge and appreciate that you're growing, because that is a growth. You are in a growth trajectory. When you start to see that, okay, what is really good? What is really beneficial for me? What is adding value to me? What is neutral and what is toxic to me? I think when we have very low self-esteem, we tolerate all the things, toxic, neutral, great things. But when we grow, we're able to say like those toxics I don't tolerate anymore, those neutrals I tolerate, and then great tolerate. I of course I accept and I tolerate, and at some point we're able to say like I tolerate only neutral and great. And after a while, we're able to really say, like, I don't tolerate even neutral because I don't want neutral. I want just great into my life. And again, this is a growth trajectory. Be able to really improve your self worth, self awareness. Just make sure that create great boundaries. Just make sure that we're able to grow in a tolerance towards things in life. Second thing that I need to really think about it, and we need to think about real tolerance is boundaries. I think that every single person needs to have strong boundaries. I think that even when I think about games, basketball, soccer, everything is have boundaries. Without boundaries, you will not have understanding what is succeeding, what is winning, what is losing. Nothing. Everything in life needs to have boundaries to understand. Okay, are you succeeding? Are you failing? Are you what's happening? So boundaries are healthy thing to have. And then it means that if you have boundaries, now you know exactly someone is aligned with your boundaries. Or because sometimes even when we have boundaries, when there's not strong boundaries, and we're able to tolerate that someone is bypassing our boundaries. And we're growing, improving, we start to say that this is my clear boundaries. If you're not able to really follow the boundaries, that means might not be that you not need to be in my life anymore. I think it's very, very important to understand that people who are creating strong, great boundaries is very, very, very healthy. At the same time, we're able to say like, if that person is not aligning with our boundaries, we need to go. We need to kick that person out of our life. Reflection. I think that we need to understand that we need to reflect all the time. Reflect, okay, what is good? Because of course we can potentially have unreasonable boundaries, unreasonable expectations. And that's why it's very, very important to reflect. Is this unreasonable expectation? But I think that when I think about people, I think that people are more tolerant than unreasonable. I I think that most people are a little bit too much tolerant. Now, of course, there's both sides of the spectrum. Some people are not tolerant at all, and some people are very, very tolerant, too tolerant. And we need to work, and that's why we need to reflection to understand that we need to really find a way to find the middle. And I think that's a lot of times we need to speak with people just to understand what is the reality regarding those tolerance. And I think that when we have very good tolerance level, I think this empowers you because now you know that you love yourself enough to create boundaries and you tolerate only the good things for yourself. And if it is empowering because you know that people who come into your life will add value to you, not will drain your energy. And I think that is a beautiful thing about tolerance is that I will no longer shrink to the box, into the space that doesn't honor me. I think it's very, very important to understand that sometimes we are making something smaller to fit in a box, in other people's box, because we want to be accepted, we want to be loved, we want to be validated, we want to be approved. I think that the most important part, the most important person that needs to approve us is us. So we need to look in the mirror. Do you approve this action? And if not, don't do it. It doesn't matter who is asking to do it. And I think it is very, very important to understand that version of you, that tolerated too much, is not there anymore. You grew, you evolved, you transform. So then now the new version of you is tolerating peace, joy, bliss, power, purpose. So that means that they tolerate total different things. We used to tolerate toxic behavior. Now we tolerate peace. It's very, very important. So I think that when we look into the old version of ourselves that really tolerates big things, I think that we sometimes be able to say like, what was really happening? And I think that one beautiful thing is to understand is that you were not weak. You're just learning. You are not weak. You were learning, because I think that a lot of times when we learn, when develop, and improve, there's a lot of things that you will not do in the best way. It might be that you when you think about your childhood, when maybe you didn't had a great example, maybe people around you were people who do not have great tolerance levels, who do not have great boundaries, who do not have ability to really communicate and express themselves. So that means that some people learn it very early, and some people need to learn later. And every person has different timeline. And knowing that you went through that learning period, we need to appreciate that, because some people are never learn it. They will never learn it. It might be that they will live 60, 70 years and they still not have that tolerance great level. So I mean, it doesn't matter where you're at, like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. At some point, if you start to really value yourself enough, appreciate enough, that you really say that I'm not tolerating that enough. It doesn't matter how long it happened towards that. I think it's very, very, very great to acknowledge and appreciate that you finally not that version of yourself that tolerate too much, but you're now in the new version of yourself that really tolerates only the good things to yourself. And I think that this is not like one day you are not tolerating, you are tolerating everything, and then you not tolerating anything. It's a journey. It's a developing yourself to really one thing at a time, which one chip at a time, to really make sure that we're able to have better thing. So I'm thinking, what person who's growing in that area in tolerance, what they change? I think that the first thing is that we learn to say no when in the past we used to say yes. I think that when able to really stand up and say what we really feel about, and you're not afraid to really stir the waters, because we choose peace. Because I think that sometimes we choose a peace, but really keep that house inside. And that sometimes I think people who are not tolerating that toxic behavior anymore, they bringing that house outside, that they could have that inner peace. Because what happens is a lot of times will be house one way or another, and that means that the person needs to choose. That house will be inside or outside. And what I mean by that means that a person is in front of you doing something that is very, very, very detrimental for you and for other person. That means you potentially could be sit quiet, not say anything, and that means that there will be boil a house inside. But you can choose to really stand up and say like, this is not good, this is not how it's supposed to be, and really create that the house will be an argument. There will be a house outside, but because you stand up for yourself, will be inner peace. And this is a choice to make. And there's one thing is that when you make a choice to stand up for yourself, there will be short-term massive pain, that argument, because you didn't want to serve water. But you do not stand up, you create a long-term inner house. That could last for weeks, even months. It depends what kind of thing that really bother you. So much more important to really learn how to really handle things immediately than delay for long term. I think that's in the past, a lot of times we think about we had a lower standards, We have we give too much, we receive too little, and sometimes when we're able to really raise our own standards for ourselves, we start to raise those standards for others as well. And I think that sometimes we do tolerate things because we just have a too low a standard for ourselves, and we allow other people to perform at the lowest standard as well. I think that sometimes the first step is really raising our own standard, not raising other person's standard, raising our own standard. And when we raise that standard, you just stop tolerating a lot of things because it's below your standard. And of course, at that moment, if you raise your standards very fast, sometimes you need to be graceful to other person to catch up to your standards. You're not able to be one day one day zero and then another one a hero. It's very very hard because the change is difficult. Again, this is the things that we need to reflect. And I think that's other thing that I want to mention is that I think that's confuse love with tolerance. I think sometimes we can really confuse love with tolerance. And I think kindness with self betrayal, because I think that we need to want to be kind. We want to be understanding. But if we are kind and understanding, but we betray who we truly are and we're not able to live the way how we're supposed to live, I think that we betray ourselves. And I think that that's the worst part of us, that we want to be kind and we want to be gentle, we want to be loving, but at the same time, if you tolerate too much, you basically betray yourself. And I really love this saying that what I learned from one of the podcasts that I heard. Mike Tyson said that if you are a friend to everybody, that means you're enemy to yourself. Such a powerful statement. That you not will be able to love by everyone. You will need to be unkind to maybe to someone. Probably you will be able to be kind but not nice. Because kind and nice could be going in different directions. Sometimes saying nice thing is unkind thing to do. And sometimes kind thing to do is saying something unnice. And I think that's sometimes we when we think of tolerance, we sometimes we think about endurance as a strength. But I think that one of the beautiful things is about real tolerance. You understand that being able to walk away sometimes is the most important strength to have, because sometimes endurance could be even more simple than really walking away. And I think that every single person needs to be okay to walk away from the things that is toxic, because probably I've heard that it's just staying in a toxic environment is like drinking poison every single day and then expecting that something will change. It will not change. So that means being able to walk away and to put yourself in a better environment where you're able to elevate your standards much, much faster. Because I think a lot of times we keep our standards low because we're in a toxic environment that doesn't allow to elevate our energies, elevate our standards, elevate our beings, and making sure that we really live a life how we supposed to live. And we need to really start to listen to our intuition and honor in that intuition what it says, and say enough without guilt that you wasted so much time. And I think that we need to really say that we are deserving better, and I think that we're not supposed to suffer to really keep someone in our life. So I hope you reflect as well, like is there anything that in your life that you used to tolerate but you're not tolerate anymore? I think that's a very, very powerful thing, because if you are growing, improving, getting better, I think that's supposed to be part of byproduct, because your well-being improves, your self-love improves, your awareness improves, you better in reflection, your standards improves. At some point, you need to start saying that the things that I used to accept in the past, even the food, even friends, like everything, there's so many things could be improved, and you stop tolerating things that you used to tolerate in the past. So I hope you just win, and see you tomorrow.